to Enchanted Empath, the podcast for your soul. I'm Charlene Murphy, intuitive empath and soul coach, on a mission to really wake you up to your inner brilliance, your amazing abilities to heal your bodies, to manifest anything, to create a life you love, and to just be really dialed into the magic of the universe. So welcome. I am you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Feel free to chime in, say hello, and during the course of the live stream, ask questions, get some coaching here, right? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be of service and to help with your evolution as a spirit being having this human experience. Fun stuff. Okay, so diving into today's topic, I really wanted to kind of expand on what we were talking about last week. And last week we dived into how to read energy, right? And it's all based on the premise that our human bodies are these high-powered receivers, transmitters, and transformers of data and energy and information that surrounds us. It's everywhere. It's impossible actually to separate ourselves from it. So any kind of separation that we might feel is completely an illusion, right? And so just with a nice little shift of remembering who we are and where we are and what we are, we can tap right back into the flow of the well-being of the universe, which is, I think, our ideal way of living. And so that's what I love, love, love to teach. And so today I want to teach you or show you one of the tools that I use and that I stumbled into back like in 2006, 2005, 2006. And it's called calling a committee meeting. So it's a really interesting process, and I'm hoping that it will serve you and give you a real tangible way for you to get answers, to get the answers that you're seeking for any situation, any topic will do, right? So this is what I call one of my psychic tools. And I use the word psychic and intuitive kind of interchangeably. And so in my psychic tool bag, this is probably the first thing that I actually developed. And it's worth a share. So some of you might be asking, why do I need to develop my intuition or psychic skills? Because I'm always saying that you have it, no matter if you're aware of it or not. But you might as well develop it because it just makes life so much easier, so much graceful, so much more graceful, and just in the flow, so that you're not having to figure everything out. You're not alone. You have just an entourage of guidance. You have a plethora of guidance, and the only thing we need to do is tap into that and receive that clarity. And we're already good at receiving. It's probably the easier part of our human nature, especially for the empaths. The empaths are great at receiving. In fact, they need to figure out how to not receive so much, right? That's a whole nother topic. So why develop our psychic senses? Well, I have 4 reasons for you. And the first one is so that you can receive higher information, like beyond the stuff that your brain makes up, or beyond the popular culture information, or beyond what your loving family might say, bless their souls. But there is a higher intelligence out there available to all of us. It's the stuff that breathes our bodies. It's the stuff that grows babies. It's the stuff that, creates nature. So that divine intelligence is, we're soaked in it. So I say, let's say thank you to our well-meaning family, but let's go to the higher source of information. So that's number 1. And number 2 is, yes, hold on just a second. Looks like somebody's This is my first time doing Instagram Live on my phone, so bear with me as I multitask. So number two is so that actually, when we do this work, when we develop our psychic senses and our intuitions, it gives us a practice. It gives us a daily practice for us to learn how to think, to learn how to rewire our brains, to learn how to really master what's going on inside of us. And so these practices help us quiet our minds. They help us be present. And when we can do those two things, then we can pretty much create worlds. We can tap into all kinds of information and affect change and just be like the master of our life and being at the helm of the ship here. So instead of feeling that reckless, here I am, this human being, and all these waves are coming, and I'm just riding the waves. When we practice this, it really does put us in a very proactive, co creative place at the helm of our own lives. That's the name of the game. Another reason, number three, is so that we can tune into other people and we can tune into places, situations, cities. Should I move here? We talked about that on Tuesday. Should I date this person? What's this person's intentions? What is this person trying to sell me on? Should my son be hanging around this person? And so instead of judging, we actually can tap into the energy, because everything is energy, and we can gather information and data that helps us make good decisions. And I use it for that a lot, in fact, and there's no question too big. And then the fourth reason is a very practical reason, and I think that this is the premise of having intuition and psychic abilities, is to keep us safe, right? And so it keeps us smart, it keeps us safe, and it keeps us aware of our surroundings. So, it really does serve us to stay off our phones and to be present, because we can pick up information all around us all the time. There's a story being told all the time. And so if we put our awareness onto it, we can read that information and we can decide if this place is a safe place, if that person's a safe person, if should I leave, should I stay? Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. That doesn't feel good. I think I'll leave. And living in that living in that reality, so that you're just much more aware and proactive of everything that's happening around you, so you're not just flying by the seat of your pants. So today, though, I really want to focus on reason number one, and that is to receive clarity, guidance from on high, from a higher place when we have questions. It's like, okay, I have a question, I don't know. And the reason for this is, this whole thing started because I had a problem and I needed a solution. And I knew that I kept on just thinking and thinking and thinking and doing my pros and cons and writing and writing and writing, but it was all in my brain and it was all limited to just my perception. And then the Albert Einstein quote just popped in, and it says, or he said, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Aha. Okay. So, well, that gives me ownership that I created the problem by my consciousness. Law of attraction makes sense to me. I'll take that. All right. So then if that's true, then guess what? I can change my consciousness so that I can tap into better answers or higher information, my high self, I'm going to talk about, what's around that we can tap into in a minute. But to be able to get out of our head and to get out of the way we were trained when we were kids, to be problem solvers and to jot this down and to mastermind it out and to bubble cluster. I think that's really great exercises and practice to do when you're writing paragraphs and whatnot, and maybe an essay or a book. But for problem solving and figuring out life situations, I think it's cumbersome and it's too much of a burden for us to bear when it's not necessary. We don't have to. When I discovered this, it changed everything. It changed my life. I went from a type A personality of trying to figure out and solve everything myself to giving it up to the universe or to my guides. And I'll talk about the committee meeting itself, just giving it away and then saying, I'll just be here waiting for your answer. So this way, I don't have to torture myself. I don't have to live in anxiety. I don't have to have that heaviness and that burden to solve every problem. They're beyond our scope. And so we have bigger guns. And I say, let's use the big guns here. Let's pull out the big ones and get the higher help and the better help, the more pure help, the divine intelligence help, right? So that's how we can change our consciousness. And I'm going to walk you through a committee meeting in a sec. But first, when we're doing a committee meeting, what we're doing is I've just broken it down into 4 different categories of potential things that we can tap into for that higher intelligence or that better guidance. The first one is tapping into that universal intelligence that I already mentioned. So the universal intelligence that governs the universe, it's the stuff that keeps everything in check and in place. We're surrounded by it. So that's something that we can tap into. We can also tap into our higher consciousness, our higher self. If you trust that, if you trust your high self, which doing these exercises will definitely help you in that process of really trusting the information you get and trusting yourself with it. You could also, excuse me, number 3, you can tap into your spiritual entourage. I call them my spirit guides. I call them. I call them, hey, you guys. I'm very informal with my spirit guides. I know that we are surrounded with them and they come and go and they come in different flavors and different personalities depending on what's going on. I think maybe we have a few that are constant. I don't even pretend to know. All I know is that we live in a responsive universe. There is something out there or many things out there responding to us and helping us and changing things behind the scenes. I see it all the time. And once you become an observer of your life, you'll see it play out too. It's like, well, we can call these things coincidences all day long, but are they? Are they really? I do believe in the magic of the universe. And I do believe that there's a conspiracy here going on behind the scenes that is always helping us, always guiding us, always nudging us or pulling our hair in the direction that is in our highest alignment, right? And so my big deal is to listen to that and to tap into that. And that's about the only thing I listen to, and that's how I make my decisions and guide my life. The last thing that you can potentially tap into, and this is fun, some of you might check out at this point, but it's channeling other people's minds. Tapping into and channeling the great minds of people of the past and people of the present, right? So we can tap into people who have died. We can also tap into our ancestors, right? So we can ask for clarity and guidance and dig in and see what that energy says to us or tells us. And again, we all receive that information differently. I've covered this in a few different podcasts, but if you want to know your strongest psychic sense, go to my website, charlenemurphy.com, and take my quiz. It's called, What is Your Psychic Gift? And so there are a few of them going on, but typically we have one that's stronger than the other. So take my quiz and find out, see how you receive it. And then all of this stuff will start to really make sense as you adapt and incorporate this stuff into your life. So, all right, let me tell you about how I came about the committee meetings. So, back in about 2006, I was living in Denver and I was pretty much finished doing jobs and having a job. I always wanted to be more self-employed and entrepreneurial. And I always had side gigs all throughout my teaching career. You had to have a side gig if you're a teacher, because that income's not going to cut it, right? So all through college, all through teaching, I always had side jobs. And I was also a graphic design teacher and an English teacher. So I created a couple of magazines along the way. And so I wanted to do that as my primary source of income and be my own boss for the rest of my life, basically. Um, and and I did. However, I didn't have any business training, zero, nada. So talk about flying by the seat of your pants and having to figure everything out. And here I was, still that type A personality. I'm trying to figure everything out, but I don't have the tools and resources to even begin with. So you can imagine how messy that was. So in my pursuit of business as a freelancer and starting magazines, a couple magazines, and gathering advertisers and clients, that was really hard. I didn't know how to price things. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to ask for the sale. And so my business was like up and down and up and down. It was feast and famine, and it was freaking me out. So I knew that I was locked in my head in the anxiety wheel. And so I thought, okay, I need to do something different. I can't hire a coach. I don't have the money, So I thought that phrase, that little bracelet that people used to wear, what would Jesus do? Changed everything. So I thought, what would Jesus do? And I realized that as I tapped into Christ consciousness there, I shifted my consciousness. So then I was out of how I was going to solve this. And I thought, okay, let's pretend. What would Jesus do? I don't know. So let's use our imagination and let's try that on and tap into that energy. And the response that I got was, get more people to the table. Gather business people to your imaginary table. Have a committee meeting, right? So that's what you would do if you were in a tangible business, a bricks and mortar. You'd have a committee meeting. So it's like, okay, well, that made sense. So here I am. I'm out doing my run in Stapleton. I stop at this little bench that's by this little body of water, and I had my first committee meeting. So I closed my eyes and I imagined this round table, and I started to invite people in, people who I respected in business at the time. Remember, this is 2006, so don't judge me. So I had Jesus at the table. Of course, he was there to keep the peace. Marianne Williamson was there. She's one of my favorite spiritual teachers, and she's just rocking it business-wise, and she's been sustainable for, decades. And then Oprah was there. Martha Stewart was there. So Martha, she just rocks it out. And these women, they just do their life the way they want to do it. And they're very profitable as a result. And I was like, I want to be like that. So I had them there. And then I also had Tony Robbins, because, he's one of my original coaches. And then I had Donald Trump. So I used to really like Donald Trump. And so anyway, they're all at my table. And I tell them, it's like, okay, I have this situation. Hey, my business isn't sustainable. I can't keep my income like at a normal level. I feel like I'm going to have to go get a job. What do I do? And then also one of the problems I had was I felt like I was getting lowballed everywhere I went, and I didn't know how to handle that. And I just felt a little defeated. So I handed it to them, and then I would listen to each of them and their response around the table. And so you can call this an exercise of imagination, or you can call this an exercise of channeling, or you can just call it an exercise of, higher self. It doesn't matter. It is a change of consciousness, and the information is different and it comes in differently. So I believe that I'm tapping into the energy of the people that I have at my table in my imagination. And I can hear their voices. And so Oprah and Marianne told me, this, my friend, is more of a spiritual crisis that you're having. You need to look into your self-worth and your feelings of worthiness. And once you reconcile those core issues, you're going to be fine. And so I was like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted some more tangible kind of business stuff, like give me steps. So, but that's what I got. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to take that and I'm going to listen to that. And then I heard Donald say with Martha, they both said, raise your prices. No apologies, raise your prices. This isn't a charity. This is business. You're not, you have to put on your big girl pants and do this. So with those two, I would just get really clear messages and action steps and things to tangibly do. So those were the big two messages that I got out of my first committee meeting. And I really took it to heart. And I agreed to follow through with the advice that I got. And lo and behold, when the student is ready, the teachers appear. And gosh, there were so many teachers that were teaching self-esteem and self-worth at the time that just popped into my radar. And I was like, oh, that's for me. That's for me. Those are things that I never paid attention to. I just thought that was nice and that was kind of a side thing and fluffy. I didn't realize how important that was and how it directs everything else. So there was, oh gosh, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but I'll put them in the description below. They're still doing their work. There was a Debbie Ford. She's no longer with us, but she was pivotal in learning how to love myself and my worth. Of course, there was Louise Hay. I'll think of the other couple that came into mind, but I did a lot of spiritual work and it was like, there we go. And so there, my confidence grew. I raised my prices. Things started to level out. It got better. It got a lot better. So I had a lot of committee meetings back in those days, and they were typically all about business. So with your committee meetings, you can choose any topic that you want. You can have a committee meeting for your business, for your marriage, for your love life, for your family life, for your spiritual life. You name it. You name it. You can call a committee for any question that you have. And so you can invite people, or you can just see who pops in when you decide to sit down and focus and have a committee meeting like that. And I think my first committee meeting probably took about 15 to 20 minutes. I was really thorough and I went through each person and I listened to what they had to tell me. Now my committee meetings are 2 seconds, if that. So over the years, I've developed such a relationship with my guides and with this divine intelligence that any issue that comes up, I don't even have to finish saying it. I just know that it's already going to be worked on, and that the answers will be coming to me. And they might even come to me through my friends or through other people. I'm open and receptive to giving that information however it comes. It doesn't necessarily have to come from the committee itself, right? So you can just say, okay, committee, I have this issue. I don't want to think about it anymore. It's stressing me out. Here, you guys deal with it. Get back to me in like 24 hours. I remember back then I used to need signs. I would ask for 3 signs and they had to be burning bush signs. So I knew that I wasn't making this stuff up myself, right? And I would get 3 signs like really quickly, and I would get this guidance and direction. And then the more I did it, it's like, this stuff is so easy, and all this is for me. And I know that's for me. I know that's a sign for me. And so now I'm so practiced in that I don't even need signs anymore. I'll just know. I'll know like within seconds or minutes. And it's like, oh, okay, thanks guys. That was fast. That was easy. It really is easy once you just develop a habit of letting yourself off the hook, letting your brain off the hook from having to figure everything out, and giving it away. And I know that, from this type A person to you, I know it's not an overnight feat, it takes practice. So I urge you to practice this and have fun with it because it really is exhilarating. It's a lot of fun. Like I'll get messages that I know I didn't make up because that wasn't in my consciousness. That the answer was not in my awareness. So I know I didn't make that up. And that information came to me uh, in the form of guidance. And then it's up to me to take the action or not, right? So see if there's any questions. Hey guys, I see a lot of people on Insta. Glad to have you here. And then let's talk about the evolution or the different variations that you can use for your meditations here, for your committee meetings. I actually call them imagitations because when I am in my meditation in this particular method, I am all up in my imagination. I am seeing stuff. I have tables. I have people. I have situations. I've got all this stuff going on. I'm playing a movie in my mind, right? And those are my favorite kinds of meditations. And then there's the quiet meditations, of course. The quiet meditation that I like to do is the gazing, like staring at the ocean waves and just zoning out. That stuff's really good too. So there's a zillion ways. So effective for problem solving. They're so good for problem solving. So let me show you or share with you a couple of different variations that you guys could use. One of them is a shorter one for sure. You don't have to sit there for 15, 20 minutes and get the feedback from each one. You can just throw it out there and say, yeah, get back to me in 10 minutes or 24 hours or whatever your time limit is. This is your meditation. This is your life. You put those parameters around this however you want, whatever feels more realistic and doable for you, right? So I started with 15, 20 minutes, 3 signs, and now I'm down to 2 seconds, no sign. And so you're going to evolve and change as you go, but start where you're most comfortable so that this is meaningful and useful for you. All right. So we talked about the shorter, we talked about the to-go meditations. I like those. You can have a one-on-one meeting with somebody. You don't have to have a whole board meeting. You can just have a one-on-one. And you can have a family session. I want to talk about one of the one-on-one meetings that I had. This was about in 2010. I'm telling you, this stuff really works. 2010, I had moved from Denver to Hollywood for a job. I got this really good job offer that I just could not turn down, and it moved me to California, back to California where I wanted to go. So it was like my ticket back home. It was like, yes, it was all good. And I lived in Hollywood for a brief minute, and then I didn't like the energy of it. And so I moved to Long Beach, and Long Beach was so much more in alignment with my psyche, my soul, my spirit. And so I had to commute back and forth to LA every day. And so I took the train, and on the train, I studied all of the stuff because I knew that I was getting ready to start my practice that I have now. So this was like 12 years ago, right? And so here I am. It's like, I know this is going to be my last job. I know I'm getting ready for something else. And then I started getting tired of LA altogether. And I was getting bored with my job because I had built all this stuff. And now it was time to maintain it. It's like, I'm a builder, not a maintainer too much. And I was ready to just work from home or transition. And I asked my supervisor, hey, can you talk to the boss and see if I can work from home? I'm tired of the commute and all that stuff. And he said, that's never going to happen. Never, never, never. And I said, can you just ask anyway? And he said, okay, fine. So on the train when I was going home, I imagined having a meeting with my boss. There I am in my meditation thing. And I am in his hotel, and we're sitting at the little table, and I'm saying, hey, you know what? I would be so much more useful to you and your business, your company, if I worked from home. Let me work from home, please. and so this little short conversation took place in my imagination, and then I just let it go. Poop. So the next week, I kid you not, my supervisor comes in and he says, guess what? Eric's going to let you work from home. I'm like, what? And he said, he was more surprised than I was. I was like, okay, that's cool. But it was nice because I just got that total validation that that worked. And then I do this all the time. Say if I want a certain job, I want a certain whatever, I'll go pre-pave it and go talk to the person first and say, you know, you're going to want to hire me, or have those conversations just to bend energy, to make it happen, to put that energy out there, because it goes places, it goes to people, it goes wherever you're intending it to go. So that's the stuff that I trust. I mean, really, if we have radio waves, microwaves, Wi-Fi waves, telephone, cell phone waves, then why don't we have human waves? Of course we do. So the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we have, all of this information, that energy, it goes places. Sometimes it just bleeds out because people don't have focus. And so, but when we do have focus, woo, and we send it to someone specific, then I know it's gone there. Did they receive it? Did they listen to it? Did they hear it? I don't know, but I know that I sent it. And 9 times out of 10, I get validation that they did receive it. So this is something that you can put to the test yourself. So if I was going to give you some homework, which I am, I would say, try this, try it on. See if this works for you. See if this is a meditation or a practice that resonates with you, that can put you in a feeling place of being more proactive in, you know, achieving or receiving your desires. You know, it really does put you in the driver's seat. So instead of, gee, I hope that happens, gee, I hope this relationship works, gee, I hope, you know, fill in the blank, you can go in with your intention, with your current intention. Your intentions change. So your current intention is, I want this relationship. I really want this. This is great right now. Who knows in the future, right? But right now, this is what I want. This is what I would like to focus on. I would like to have this in my life. So let's go have a one-on-one with that person in my imagination, or let's go have a committee meeting with relationship coaches and spiritual guides or whoever, to get some guidance and clarity about next steps. What should I do? How should I handle this? You know, so you can put this to the test, big or small. I would say if this is your first time doing this kind of work, start with something small. You know, intend to like contact somebody, intend to have a conversation with somebody. It could be that easy, that small. And then after, you know, when you have quiet time in your day today, sit down and imagine having a conversation with that person. Be in your home, their home. It's all in your imagination. You can be anywhere, in a restaurant, on a boat, you know, whatever is realistic for you. And see that conversation. What are you saying? How are they responding? How would you like for them to respond? You know, all of this stuff. So you can work it out in this realm before you work it out in the physical realm. You know, this is a great place to have dress rehearsal, to try things on, to bend energy, move things around, and then watch it come in later. But put some parameters around it, put a time frame around it, so that you're not just waiting, you know, for weeks and weeks for a response. Put it to the test. You know, have that conversation and say, okay, guides, if you're utilizing your guides, I would like an answer or some guidance, some real clear guidance, 3 signs, 2 signs in 24 hours. We're on, it's on, let's do this. I'm doing this. So test it, play with it. This to me is the best part of my work. This is how I receive almost all information. I'm in there. I'm playing around. I'm looking at things. I'm having conversations. I'm sending out information. I'm tapping into people, places, and things. And the more I do it, the better I get at it. And the same is for you, because I am no different than you. The only thing that is different between me and you is that I do this for a job. I do this for a living. I'm way practiced at it, and I'm only way practiced at it because I love it. And I love it for the reasons that I shared at the beginning. I think it started as a safety mechanism, a survival mechanism, and now it's morphed into a thing of beauty. And so you can make this practice whatever you want. Okay. All right, guys. So I don't have my Facebook open. Last time I noticed that this app that I use, the Facebook chats don't come through. So I will go and check out your comments or your questions and answer them offline. So please feel free to drop me a line, put this to the test. I would love, love, love to hear your feedback and see how you do when you do this work. I think you'll be amazed. And don't get scared with it. This is just energy, right? It's just energy work, but it kind of can freak you out if you're not used to it, because it's like, dang, that happened. I was just thinking about that. But I'm telling you, this stuff happens in your life all the time. You're doing this stuff unconsciously or subconsciously all the time. Now just do it with a conscious intention, with a focus, with a result in mind that you would like to achieve. We're always talking about release from the outcome, but no, it's like, no, I want this outcome. And then I can just switch it later if it needs to be changed, not a problem. So have fun with this, be easy with this. I'll look for your comments. And then once you do your committee meeting or your imagitation, get back to me, share, let me know how it went. I would love, love, love to hear. All right, you guys. So I think that's all I have for today. Until I see you next time, enjoy this beautiful day and just be so blessed. Just really call in your blessings and know how amazing you are and how amazingly wired you naturally are to achieve and to manifest and to create anything that you want. So go out there and have fun, and I'll see you next time. All right, everybody, take good care of yourself and each other. Peace out. Uh-oh, I don't know how to shut this off.